let's put away the sword. Because there are, of course, still many other things for us to explore in this island here. And maybe we will find the thing that directs us more explicitly to that area. Of course, with this quest active, it will still have this circle up here and really looking for stuff, presumably, down in that cave-like area to find the cat school gear. But anyways, like I said, we'll get there eventually. And is this technically the way we were supposed to go down? Something tells me the answer to that is no, because I think that is a pretty huge drop down, so no, don't do it. But again, I will continue to check behind the buildings, because I'm always suspicious. Can we go through here? The answer is no. Or that is also a guard who's staring right at us, so even if there was loot there, probably wouldn't be a great idea. That's locked, okay. Did we try going into, say, this building yet? I'm not sure we have. We can. And it is more than just the tiny little buildings we saw in the past. There is a second floor. Sammelford stuff.
Piss off.
Not bad.
Sick of it all.
Sorry? I apologize for saying hello to you. Let's see what else is up here, though. Oh. Even though it's a chest, doesn't necessarily mean it's anything good. Pretty sure that's just the door in here that we're seeing showing up there. That's locked. Okay. Alright, in that case, it's a little bit more than we saw in previous buildings. Let's see what else we can come across here. So, we came up from that side. Let's try taking it more or less building by building here. This looks pretty big, but it is locked.
Those armies across the river. Worrying. I must resolve matters quickly and leave.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Okay, this is back down a little bit lower. So I'm not sure we've actually seen everything in this area yet. So I know we're doubling back a bit, perhaps. But in the interest of trying to be thorough... Have we tried this spot yet? Probably. There's one of those bookshelves I was referring to previously. I think maybe just over here we've not yet seen. And whenever there's... Oh, so like if I just stay right here? What do you think of that? I can loiter wherever I want, thank you very much. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, so whenever there's changes in elevation with the city, and you know, there's like basically a first floor and second floor to the city, that always makes it a little bit tricky to make sure that you're getting to everything, because you can't quite approach it. Excuse me, Carol? You're stuck there for a second, but can't quite approach it from like a grid perspective of, oh, let's just go left to right. Okay, so like for example, this time around we kind of went on this pathway here. And so I guess we're kind of going left to right, you could say. In which case, we could try seeing if there are any back or side doors here for those buildings, but I think for the most part we've checked that. We probably do want to go up here to what could be one of, if not the, main roads. So, that means what? I think going here? Up here, technically, although, what are you guys doing? Just being eternal fire priests? What? Your grandma's a succubus? You sure about that? That seems unlikely. So I know we're technically going, like, backwards here for a second, but in the interest of starting from the beginning of this road, which I think we are now doing. Yeah, this is where we went off to the left. Okay, so now, starting from the beginning on this side, make sure we don't miss anything. We could go down that route, but I think if we're trying to go more or less left to right, or west to east, then let's stick here for now.
Ah!
Oh, excuse you, I'm pretty sure I was standing there first, and then you tried walking directly into me, like we just tried walking into that column. Who looks silly now? Probably us. Okay, so if we go up here, like I said, I think this is, at least based on the map, what looks like it could be the main road. Elector's Square. Okay, that's a good sign. Oh, there is a fast travel location here. Also good sign. But, oh, is there anything to do here, though? There is this person. Priest of the Eternal Fire, yes, which is the same name as many other people, though you do have a
Do you wish the
indicator above your
Eternal
head.
Fire's blessing upon you and your household? Come, true believer, may its light shine...
Watch it or you'll see the shine of my sword. And back off. That incense is making me nauseous.
You might have said so right away. Countersign and fish soup gives the deacon's auntie a headache. What do you need? Before you ask, I'm all out of hemorrhoid cream.
What are you talking about? Your incense that bad for the brain?
What do you mean? You gave the password, signalling you wished to buy some herbs.
We did? The password? I don't know any password. Do we give up on our little game here that I didn't even realize we were taking part in? Nah. Maybe we call them out?
You're about as much a priest of the Eternal Fire as I am a Vestal Virgin. What sort of conspiracy is this?
Conspiracy? Dare. Folks see conspiracies everywhere. I sell harmless things. Yet
Sure
in
you do.
turbulent times like these...
Think it's safer to don priest's robes? See, thing is, in this town, impersonating a priest is likely grounds for punishment. Cruel and unusual, I'd wager.
Yeah.
I impersonate no one. I am a priest. Though I am also an alchemist. Sadly, it's become difficult to reconcile the two. Will you report me? Or shall we make a deal?
Trying to bribe me? Save your coin. I'm not fond of priests. In fact, you'd have to pay me to talk to them.
And I shall sell you my wares for less. Cast your eyes. See if there's aught you could use. Provided, of course, you do not seek hemorrhoid cream.
Yeah, we'll pass on that. No worries. Let's see what you have,
Show me what you have in stock.
and then maybe we'll play you at Gwent as well. Oh, you do have a book of some variety that appears to be affiliated with the quest Greater Glyph of Ard. That costs 2,300 gold, so okay, I was curious, but with it being greater and all, and we haven't seen too many of those, but yeah, that's a pretty steep price. Maybe we pass for now. You also have Greater Quen. Let's see what this quest-related one is. The Cult of Freya. Read for additional information. So I think we've encountered on several other occasions, actually, in Novigrad, some items kind of like this from shopkeepers that have the quest marker on them. And I've been hesitant to pick them up because I'm never really sure if that means that we're going to fast forward on a quest or if we're just going to start a new one from scratch. So if we're starting a new one and this is the way you're quote-unquote supposed to do that, then great, let's do it. But if we're technically supposed to talk to several other people first and then ultimately they would direct us to this guy, and maybe that's why we might have known in advance that he was doing this whole subterfuge thing, and then would have been going to him specifically for this book, and we miss out on all that beginning stuff if we just outright buy it from him to begin with, then obviously I don't feel great about that. So that's my reluctance there, my hesitancy. So let's just take a look at what his other crafting recipes are. And again, we've seen many ones of the lesser runes. However, this is actually Greater Glyph of Quen and Greater Zoria runestone for chance to freeze. That's a bit intriguing. Kind of always been on the lookout for the greater recipes, and I don't know if we have any yet, and could very well be the case that in order to make the graders, you need the normals, or you need the lessers, so might be working a little bit backwards here. But let's try this out, because we do have a reasonable amount of coins at the moment, so I think it's within the realm of possibility for us to say just pick up all the great ones. Let's do it. Let's do it, and then we can confirm as to how exactly one makes these things. And then perhaps we can get more aggressive with applying them. I remember a while back you guys were talking about how that's something we could make a point of doing. And so yeah, we've stockpiled a fair bit, but I think that's okay. It just means that in the future we can be more aggressive with them, which is, of course, fine. Sounds good. So yeah, I'm going to hold off on purchasing the quest items, because, or at least on this occasion, like I said, I'm on the fence as to whether or not that's a good idea here. So if you guys have like a general rule of thumb for that, that would be really helpful, because, like I said, I want to do the quests in their entirety, and so if the first step in the quest is to buy the items that say they have a quest affiliated with them, then let's do it. But if they're actually the 5th or 6th step in the quest and we miss out on the first half if we just outright buy this now, then that sounds like we shouldn't do it yet. So I'm going to hold off for the time being for that reason. So other than that, we could look at alchemy. We do have, I think we picked up at least one interesting crafting ingredient, although not necessarily sure if it is one that will help us make something here, because we've had the Reliever's decoction for a very long time and deliberately been holding off because the red mutagens are a fair bit difficult for us to pick up. We got, I think it was the... Oh, hold on. The Golem's Heart, yes. And that is something that allows us to make the Enhanced Blizzard. Whenever you slay an enemy, time slows for a short period, extended duration. So, I don't know how long the duration is for the base Blizzard, but to increase the duration does sound quite good. Of course, we only have one Golem's Heart right now, so if we were to make this potion, then we wouldn't have one to use on other potions, which is not great because there could very well be other ones that also need this ingredient. However, at the moment, it seems like this is the only one using a Golem's Heart that we can make. It might just be that there are other ones that also require Golem's Hearts that require other ingredients that we don't yet have. So I think it'll be hard to get Golem's Hearts going forward because there aren't very many of those guys. Not like they're popping up everywhere. There are several that we've seen, yes. However, they're typically leagues above us in terms of how strong they are. So I'm not sure when we'll actually be able to fight those guys and get those Golem Hearts. So maybe for that reason, this is still okay for us to do now. Because thinking back to Witcher 1, the Blizzard Potion with the time freeze ability was fantastic. So we've not yet tried it at all in Witcher 3. I don't think we have, at least. But having a stronger version of it, of course, makes it more powerful if and when we do. So that might be something to put on our list. Other than that, of course, oh, okay, this is just the crafting materials. And I'm pretty sure that those have already shown up. Let's give it a
Show me what you have in stock.
This should, oh, hold on. Allow us to, yeah, go back to alchemy. Is it technically alchemy? Or is it, oh, okay, we can only switch between alchemy and the shop here. I was gonna say, is it technically alchemy or is it crafting? And what category does it fall under? Because I did not take note of seeing those runes that we just found out how to make. Yeah. Potions? No, definitely not a potion, right? Yeah. I would think that maybe even alchemy substances? No. So maybe they just did a different category in that case? But that means, at least from that screen there, we don't know how to make them. But I thought I remembered we might have checked one time before on some other similar recipe that we had picked up, and that it did require that you have some of the weaker versions in order to build up to the bigger versions, or maybe it was that you needed some kind of, like, link, tablet or rune stone, and then that's sort of like the generic ingredient that you use for all of them, and not sure we have any of those yet. So that might be the thing that's holding us back. But anyways, let's get to some Gwent. Yeah, we'll get the usual.
Let's play cards. Gwent wouldn't be bad.
I was thinking Go Fish, but I suppose we could do Gwent too. Okay, so let's stick with Northern Realms. Yeah, we've been talking about perhaps mixing things up a little bit, but I think for the moment, let's stick with this, and we'll have to see if we can pick up more cards for other factions, and we're close. We're quite close to being able to do them. I think we do have enough cards, it's just a matter of, is it better than our Northern Realms set right now? Probably still not yet, couple of decoys. That's interesting. Torrential Rain is the siege nerf, is probably the worst nerf for us because we are pretty reliant on siege. Well, with our leader ability being specific to siege. Wow, this is a pretty crazy hand. Not necessarily sure in a good way, in that it's really unbalanced. 2 decoys, they are strong, but having 2 of them is perhaps a little bit difficult to plan around. Torrential Rain is a weather effect, which, like I said, is strong, just maybe not the best fit for us. Clear Weather removes that weather effect. Commander's Horns double the amount of power we have in a given row. We also have our leader ability that doubles the siege row specifically, so across all those we could double every row. Then that leaves us with how many actual units? 1, 2, 3, 4? Only 4? One of them is a spy, so we could use this one to get more back, but that is alarmingly odd, in that we have way too many other types of cards here. So I think let's probably keep the decoys. I think Torrential Rain's probably priority number 1 to get rid of, followed by maybe even Clear Weather as well. Okay, we got another spy, which is also, I think, quite useful because, again, we could use more cards, particularly the ones that actually have their own strength values. Having this many Commander's Horns is probably pretty darn overkill because, you know, you need units to double, and we don't really have units right now. So I'm thinking we might even want to get rid of one of those. Of course, they are very powerful, yes. It's just that there's a limit to how much we can put them to use. Either that or the Clear Weather. It is useful to have this in our back pocket if and when our opponent uses a weather effect. It's just that, of course, we don't actually know if and when that will happen. So it's either completely valueless or a game saver. I think we'd probably take that risk. And we get... Actually, was that our only siege card? I think it was. And since we can only double the siege row with our leader ability, yeah, I think that was worthwhile. So we go first. And it is hard to say what we ought to do here, because for the most part we just have spies and like 1 card, okay, 2 cards for the range row. But it's really hard to plan around what we're trying to double or what we're trying to swap out when we really don't know what we're playing with here. So I think let's play maybe Stennis first, get some more cards in our hand. Another Commander's Horn! Oh my god. What is happening? Okay, you steal our spy. That is a good play. We could, of course, do some of that ourselves if, say, they were to play their spies. That was the worst of our 2 spies, so if you were to decide between stealing Stennis and stealing Sigismund over here, then I'd rather you take Stennis. But still... Other than that, we drew Vesemir, so we're getting a little bit stronger in the melee row. Let's play another spy, though. And now we got... the Siege Engineer is most helpful when you have a bunch in the way of other siege units, and we don't, so he's pretty weak at this stage. And then I think we got... Was it Sheila as well? The range is looking a little bit stronger. They did play their own spy, and this is a pretty good one. 4 strength, so it's better than Stennis. It's equivalent to Sigismund over here. So let's steal him. Maybe we just go back and forth, stealing spy after stealing spy. Let's see if they take Sigismund this time. Oh no, they'll play Stennis. Okay, actually, I think that's going to end up happening. Is there a limit to how many cards we can have? I know we were asking this before, when we were trying to exceed 10 cards, and we did that, but we're going to continue to test that, because I'm going to also take Stennis back. So what do you do here? I'm curious. You pass? Oh, I'm pretty sure we did not exceed 12, actually. I don't... Oh, no, except we took Stennis back, yes, but we didn't play him, so that seems right. I'm pretty sure we could exceed 12 if we really wanted to. So what we could do here, because our opponent has passed, is we could play a single card and win the round. Or we could deliberately load up on more spies, because our opponent has already committed to finishing this round, and then play just enough to still eke out a victory. So this would be an easy win if we just played someone like Sheila and walked away with a 1-card victory. But it is really tempting to sneak in more spies, because we know our opponent won't steal them or play more cards on top of that. So the question is, though, with our limited number of cards how easy or difficult might it be to still outplay them. And it would take a few cards to do it, but I think it is probably still worthwhile. Let's give it a shot here, see what we get back. The answer is another Siege Engineer. So it means more cards in the Siege row. So at this rate, it's probably not that much of a bad thing anymore. And then the other card that we drew, was it another Ballista here? In which case, yeah. Now the Siege row is starting to look pretty legitimate. So that's not bad. What I'm thinking is, because we have so many Commander's Horns, we might even want to... Hold on. We play Stennis. Let's just do some mental math here. We play Stennis. They will have 13 strength. Then that means if we were to, say, play Vesemir and double him, we still would not have enough to win. Whereas if we did that now and didn't play Stennis, then we would. I think that might be best, because otherwise it's going to take us several turns to make up for giving them additional strength with the spies. So I think we do this. And then we'll double them, because we have more Commander's Horns than we know what to do with. Is it overkill when we play only one card in the melee row? Yeah, but have you noticed how many Commander's Horns we have and how few units at least we originally had? Now we have several, but we also gain another card when we win a round. So, what do we do this time? So our opponent needs to win this round and the next round, of course, because we took round 1. So that means we could play some games here and deliberately do something like just play Stennis and get an even greater card advantage and take it from there. I think we do that. And then just go into round 3 with a pretty huge card advantage and see what happens. What is that leader ability? Was it the one that allows you to look at our hand? Yes. So functionally, you just more or less pass the turn, which is probably a pretty good move in truth, because that means we need to either invest further in this round, which we don't really want to do very much. The entire point is mostly to have you play a bunch of cards that you don't really need to play. So that's a little bit tricky. If we want you to go even further, then we of course need to play a card right now. As to what we'd like to do, just looking at how we have our medic now and wondering if, that's gotta be a card we save for the last round, right? Definitely want to save all of our siege units, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. That's a ton to get doubled, and a ton for the siege experts to boost. So now you guys are far more relevant than you were at first. What would we prefer in that case to play now? I think we know that we are not going to get another one of the Blue Stripes Commandos, because we played all of our spies, we played all of our decoys. The only way we could get one back would be to say, if we could use the medic to get a spy back that way, that would require that, of course, our opponent plays a spy here, which is unlikely. So I think what we do is we play what is now our worst card, this guy, the Blue Stripes Commando, because we are not going to draw any more cards, so we will not expect to get his pair. You play your medic. It's not a very strong medic, but it does play a spy. Okay, so it means they get to draw more cards, which is unfortunate. However, it does mean now that at the end of this round, and heading into, or at the end of this round, Sigismund will end up, I believe, in our graveyard, not theirs. So then we can use the Dunbanner medic to bring him back and play him in round 3, which is exactly what we want to do. So in several ways, I think they helped us out there. We are technically still winning at the moment, because you, of course, gave us strength when you played the spy on our side. Part of me is, again, kind of tempted to play Commander's Horn here to double this row. But I think what we do here, don't get carried away with that. That would, of course, mean that our opponent would need to play several cards to catch up with us. Just tempting. We'd basically play the Commander's Horn in the melee row. We'd get up to 16. That would force our opponent to play, and then we'd pass. Our opponent would be forced to play probably at least 2 cards to catch up with us, at which point we would have 11 cards remaining, and they would have probably 11 as well. Whereas if we pass now, then we'll obviously have 12 remaining, and they will have if they can win with one card, which is likely. Also 12, so in either case, we're talking about having no card advantage. So, except this one means that we would have to use a Commander's Horn, and that is, of course, still a valuable resource to us, so I think we do just pass here. Let's see what they do. They will, of course, need to play a card. How efficiently can they do this? Yeah, that is the best way to do it, is play a relatively weak card that is just strong enough to win that round. So I was hoping that they would play their best card and totally overinvest, but they didn't. Like, if they played this, that would have been ideal. They didn't, though. And we did pick up a nerf recently. Oh, they played another spy. That one we cannot steal at this stage, I don't think. So we got the Impenetrable Fog a little while ago, and it nerfs range, which, tell you what, that might have been a reasonable idea to go with that. Either playing this card in the previous round, or playing our own range cards, because this is going to nerf ourselves, at least for the range. Yeah, basically, it would have been best to split that, because we're only getting the benefit from the nerf if we play the nerf, or if we're just playing with the our range cards, then we're not getting the benefit of the nerf because we're just not going to play because we don't want to nerf ourselves. So, yeah, that's perhaps 2020 hindsight, something that I would change. Do we have anything in melee right now? I mean, of course, Stennis that you gave us via the spy, but I don't think we have anything else. To tell you what, I think that we are probably going to pass. I'm thinking on the Impenetrable Fog, and we're going to play our range cards here, and we're probably going to use a Commander's Horn there, which is why we definitely don't want to put the Fog. So let's start with Sheila, perhaps. We could play our Medic now. Ooh, you have a lot of heroes. Okay, this is a little concerning that you have definitely held out on us, using all your best cards last. Well, that was 10 and Medic on that first card. That's where the Stennis was coming from, I suppose, but that is an insanely powerful card. Yeah, so if we were to play the Medic, we could use that to bring back our own Spy, and then we could draw a couple more cards, in which case that might change the equation a little bit. That might be worth doing soon, so that we know what options we have on the table. Let's go for it here. It's a little bit of a risk, because, of course, we don't know what our opponent might do to get rid of some of our cards or steal them. Okay, we did draw Roach, which is actually fantastic because he is our strongest single card. However, he does not get nerfed by the melee nerf because he's a hero. So we were saying earlier, we don't have anything in the melee row. Oh, well, okay. We do still have Stennis in the melee row, yes. But that works very well for us. See how many cards they have in the melee row? Yes, some of them are heroes as well, so maybe not the best of fits, but I think still, assuming they go even further in the melee row, could be very good for us. Yep. So all those non-hero cards will get dropped down to a 1 as soon as we play this. However, I think what we want to do is we want to save this for last or very close to last, so that way if our opponent does have any clear sky cards to remove the weather effects, then they're gonna play that card, and then immediately afterward we'll just go, oh yeah, sorry, did you want to use that to remove this? Yeah, well, one moment while we just play it, and you can no longer get rid of it. So, let's now continue with range. And that is the problem with playing all those 5 strength cards. That was what I was referring to with the Medic. Is that they might have had a way to get rid of her. And yeah, getting rid of all of our 5 strength cards is catastrophic. So, that melee nerf is going to be really important. It's not going to be enough in and of itself. The Commander's Horns are going to be a big deal here. I mean, if we had played Death Mold, it would have just taken out Death Mold because he's 6 strength, whereas everyone was tied for the highest with 5. So, I kind of had that brewing in the back of my mind that that was a possibility, but should have taken more action to prevent that from happening. So, that does mean that perhaps the range nerf is looking more intriguing than it was before, because Previously, we had a bunch of range cards that we were looking forward to doubling. Now it's only Death Mold. I mean, with no cards in our opponent's range row, I mean, this is doing nothing to help us right now. Just longer term, if they load up on range as well, then that could be something that's worthwhile. I suppose we can do this now, though. Because we do have that for range. We can use this on melee, even though it won't actually affect Roach here at all. And then our leader ability will be the siege row, so we can double everything. And at this rate, that's pretty much all we can do here, is start to either load up on... Or this is basically passing a turn if we double up here. We might want to do, if, say, we're, again, trying to sort of pass the time to make it so that our opponent is playing cards before they would like to play them. But the big thing would have been to get our to play that Scorch early. Okay, so they have a lot of stuff going on in the melee row. And that includes a lot of doubling. And even when we nerf them, that doubling will still happen. Of course, doubling 1 is not a lot, but these guys, I believe, are getting doubled at least twice right now, because they double each other, and they get doubled by the Commander's Horn. So even after the nerf, they're still going to be looking pretty good. And remember, the heroes, these two guys are going to remain 10 no matter what. So we're not looking so great here. Unless we can just absolutely blow our siege row out of proportion. But I don't think it's going to be enough. They are doubling their siege row because reasons. I mean, we did something like that not long ago, so suppose you can't really criticize. Okay, they're playing another spy, which we will double. So 14 strength is a fair bit. They did get to draw 2 cards from having played him. Interesting to see if those 2 cards will be more or less than the 14 strength they gave us, though. As for right now, I think we just continue loading up on Siege, and we really hope that our opponent doesn't have much remaining in the tank. More in the melee row. Oh, those are also guys that get doubled. This is a pretty strong deck. I mean, we do still have a good way to counter it, but even with Biting Frost, I'm still not sure we're going to be able to pull this off. Don't know what exactly those numbers are going to end up looking like. So there is our opponent's first card not played in the range row, or at least first unit. Of course, there is still this Commander's Horn doing nothing up here. But that probably means that at this stage, at least at the moment, the range nerf is not worthwhile, because we, of course, bring Death Mold down to a 2. He would still get doubled from 1 to 2. So, however, that being losing 10 strength, whereas it would mean losing 5 strength for our opponent. So, hurts us more than it hurts our opponent. Let's not do that. Not yet. Unless our opponent loads up even more in the range row. There's the Clear Skies. Okay, so we wanted to deliberately wait to play the Biting Frost until our opponent got rid of Clear Skies. So we could say, I think we double the range row now, or double siege row rather now. Again, in case our opponent has another Clear Skies, we want to play the Biting Frost as late as possible. Okay, now our opponent has 16 strength in the range row, and we have 12. So it is now, I believe, worthwhile for us to use the range nerf. So again, worthwhile for us to wait on this. And our opponent passes here with 2 cards remaining, so don't know what those 2 cards would have been. But now we play the Biting Frost, and I don't know if you guys have been doing the mental maths, but I don't know. This might add up, it might not. We're about to find out. 82 is the number to beat. We brought him down to 42. Wow. Okay, we did, of course, lower our number a little bit as well, but nowhere near as much as them. So, yeah, as it turned out, that was very much the difference maker. Certainly had me nervous.
Beware, freak.
I swear, everyone who we beat at Gwent punches us. Okay, we got Kieran as a new card. I feel like I recognize that name. Was green, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be Skoy as hell. Kieran. So we're looking for this guy here. So 3 strength, and can go in either the range or melee row. What's up, Pete? Yeah, I've been head down a bit in some Gwent there, and that guy has a pretty darn strong deck. Just very fortunate that we had the perfect card to counter it, and I wasn't even sure if the numbers were going to add up, but they just barely did. So, that being said, let us, well, just ignore the fact that this entire part of the city is currently encircled in a ginormous yellow circle, and let's instead, well, I'm intrigued by all these conversations with the priests, because we have seen on some previous occasions that these conversations will, in fact, lead us to quests. I think typically, though, now he's giving us the evil eye, I think typically, though, when that has been the case, we've seen the quest marker there, the exclamation point, and I didn't see one there. But where does this lead? Up, maybe? Or down? Let's try here first. This looks dramatic. Is this locked? No, it's not locked. I really thought it would be. Is there anyone in here? Apparently not. Okay, we'll just... Your alcohol cellar then, apparently? Is there anything else over here? What's it? It goes even further. Press Havoc. That to be locked. Hold on. Again? How high up does this place go? This one? Also unlocked? Or alcohol? Probably. Hunting trousers? Okay, that's a little bit different. Oh, back to the alcohol now. Okay, everything's right with the world. This might be the last room here in this strange series of doors and ramps and whatnot. Do you think we've read that book already? Pretty sure. I was kind of hoping that with that assumption that this was the last room, we'd find something really amazing in here. It doesn't seem like the case. Also, apparently we are trapped here for all of eternity. We run through? Okay. Ooh, had me worried there. Had me worried. What the heck is this? Elector Square? I thought we saw that name previously, although that was maybe when we were down below. And this looks very dramatic, especially with that red moon behind it. What? Is that a coincidence, or is that always like that? If the bush would get out of the shot. Yeah. That looks awesome. Now, you guys are definitely up to something, though. I mean, obviously you're praying, yes, but, like, can we say interject? Hello? I'm sorry? I'm tempted to see if we could do something to the fire. Be like, oh, this whole eternal fire thing. Let's see how eternal it really is. Yeah, these guys are not so happy to see us. Yeah, though, not seeing any major updates. No. Well, maybe there are people to talk to there. I don't know, try to a little bit, but they seem like they're pretty involved in their prayer thing. Hold on, is that a place of power? No, it's like a place of power. Yes, I think it is.
Medallion's humming. Place of power, it's gotta be.
Indeed. Nice. Okay, just ignore the fact that this is, you know, like a precipice that juts out and would surely lead to our doom if we were to take one step further. But anyways, beside that point, we did now pick up a ability point from having done that. So, we have been most recently working on Precise Blows, which is the crit with our fast attacks. The other thing I think we were most recently talking about was that next on our list might be upgrading Igni. Just getting some better damage, and it also lowers enemies' armor. Yeah, damage dealt with by Igni also permanently weakens enemy armor. Effect scales with sign intensity up to a maximum of 30%. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's actually direct damage. It's just additional armor melting effects, which is not a bad thing per se. What about this one here? Is the Fire Stream, which is an alternate Igni mode where we basically shoot fire in a stream out of our hand, rather than just a single fireball, which is tempting. Sounds really cool. But it sounds like this one is maybe more effective. I don't know. Well, maybe that's the wrong word. Just that this is purely an upgrade, whereas this one is maybe more a matter of preference. And this does sound like it could be very strong. Yes, don't mean to suggest that it isn't. Just that it seems like this is maybe something that you ought to do first, and then you do this. I don't know. At least that's my impression. So, did I just remove it? I'm pretty sure I just removed it. Which is exactly the opposite of what I meant to do. Do we want to go this route, or do we want to do the precise blows? So let's just check. We need 9 more to get to the next row on the melee side, and then how many do we need to get to the next row on the sign side is 7. So we're closer to making it to the next area in signs than we are in combat. Is that reason to further invest in signs so that we can get closer to unlocking this next row as soon as possible? Maybe. What does this last row do? Sign intensity? Is this just sign intensity across the board? Seems like it is. Which is not a bad thing per se. This is the one that just makes them objectively stronger than the last row. Hard damage. Ignite burning. Mirrodin lose 10 points of vitality or essence per second. Okay. Reflex absorb damage back to the attacker. We did... Alright, I do remember you guys saying that this is amazing. 2 opponents can be influenced by Axie at the same time, but the effect is 50% weaker. Could be good as well. Whereas we look longer term here, Whirl Spinning Attack that damages all foes in the surrounding area. That sounds amazing. Additional damage in proportion to the stamina consumed. Ignores enemy defense and increases critical hit chance by 10%. Wow, that sounds really awesome too. Counterattacks, we're not doing much in the way of that. I'm assuming we're probably not going to be investing too much in the crossbow. And then adrenaline points generated by swords. Okay, yeah. Last row would be fast attacks now. Also apply a bleeding effect. Affected enemies lose 25 vitality or essence per second. Reduce enemy damage resistance. Okay. Combination of Sunder Armor and Igni sounds like that would just absolutely decimate people's defenses, and that could be a nice combo. Adrenaline points. Chance of killing opponent instantly. Whoa. Disable monster special abilities with the crossbow. Maybe that's worthwhile. I don't know. I mean, of course, when you get further down here, all that stuff sounds amazing. It's just that it's going to take a long time for us to be able to do any of that. So, I don't know. I did kind of like further investing in the crit chance because it felt like we were only just starting to get to feel the effects of it. I feel like the more crit is one of those things where if you only have a little bit of it, then it's too inconsistent and it feels like junk. But if you have a lot of it and you're a quote-unquote crit build, so to speak, at least in other games I'm thinking of mostly, then it feels much better. But I mean, that's just statistics, right? So that should be applicable across the board, regardless of whether we're talking Witcher or whatever else. So for that reason, I think I'm intrigued by upgrading this further. So let's do that. And then, like I said, the other thing that's high on our list would be, I think, some form of upgrading Igni. So that's what I'm thinking of, and just back away slowly. Very slowly. Okay. I am also curious what that is down there that we could see. And it's this northern area up here that is kinda, sorta. Well, that's probably pretty far away from Oxenfurt to call that Greater Oxenfurt, but I don't know. Outside of Novigrad, of course. Anyways, let's see what else is over here.
No loitering round here.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. Is there anything? Oh, is that something you would get mad at me for taking? Not sure. There's also like clearly a skeleton there. So like, if I do this, well, it's not even good. It's a bad sword. Okay, that was a little too aggressive walking toward the ledge there. Made me a bit nervous. Okay. So, like, how do we actually get in the building, though? You can go down here. Does this lead anywhere, though? Besides this other ledge? And that other ledge? I mean, I'm tempted to see if there's anything down there. Yes. Is it a bad idea? Almost certainly. So let's see. Let's just check. If there's anything to do over here, but I don't really think so. That just looks like imminent death. Whew, okay, let's not do that. That seems like a bad idea, and so does that. Yeah, remember that part where I said, oh my goodness, that this was a bad idea? Yeah, this was definitely a bad idea. So don't do this. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, don't do this. Rule number 3, if you do this, then finish in style, right? Oh, I was looking for something much more. I was hoping for a, 200-foot drop or something, which we certainly could have done, it seemed. But anyways, let's load our movies and save. And maybe not go down there this time. I think it was mostly just coincidence that there were actually some small areas for you to stand on there. Don't expect there to actually be anything worthwhile for us to pursue in that direction, because, yeah, there was seemingly no way back up, and okay, just forget about that ledge, is basically what I mean.